Go and ask estate agents how they sell properties today, and it will feature the following. Nothing. They'll talk about things that are outside their control, like Rightmove, maybe Zoopla. They'll talk about possibly newspaper advertising. But anyway, they will talk about stuff that's got no way of selling that house in the current climate. The way to sell a property today, what is it? That's what these guys need to know. For me, the story's in your database, 100%. Right, so we've got that one there. It's on at 500,000. We sold 3 properties last month around that value. How many people have been looking at those other ones? Who are they? Let's go and talk to those people. They're in the market to buy right now. What we need these guys to understand is that you're not going to succeed next year if you rely on Rightmove. That isn't selling a property anymore. And it probably won't be for quite a number of years, if you ask me.
I can't believe agents aren't doing this. Are they not calling the database?
No, sadly not.
I don't think they are.
No.
Well, let's ask them.
So there's no time management.
Yes, it comes back exactly to that. Sorry, no, yes, you're right. So the leadership doesn't exist to get the time management and the accountability in place, and therefore it's not getting done.
That's not leadership. Well, that's just management. It's not even leadership.
Leadership, management.
Most agents I gather,
tomatoes.
Most agents I gather are sort of one-office outfits. Is that right? 1, 2, maybe
2 to 3 branches.
2 to 3 branches. So it's not that difficult.
Yeah,
it really isn't. And you have a process of 9:30 to 11:30 call out.
But call who?
To your database.
Yeah, but to call who? That's the problem.
Your applicants.
They haven't got the software. They haven't got the technology.
They haven't
got the technology to know who to make the phone calls to. If you go and sit in an estate agents, they do the call out, they get 45 voicemails, get through to 3 people that ain't bothered, and they go, I did a good job. You don't need to do that anymore. We live in a world where the software can tell you. It can actually tell you who to call. You can make the call out 100%. You must do it. Yeah. But Matt, you know better.
Yeah, I was going to just touch on that because this is so the software that we've got, and it's life cycle, and we invested in it just about 18 months ago. It shows you who's engaging with your content. I mean, that's a really nice call to make. So if Sarah's looking at some details 2 or 3 times, there's a fair chance there's something there.
Yeah. So it's part of the nurture process.
It's part of the nurture process.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But again, this comes back down to training, because you can ring somebody and pee them off, and you can ring somebody and help them out. I'm just going back to those 23. For me, I probably sell half of those between now and Christmas.
What, in the next 6 weeks?
4 weeks. Yeah, absolutely. Because I'd go and understand what the strategy needs to be. I'd go and understand who's going to be the buyer for that particular property. And for me, it doesn't get any more difficult than going to your database, having a conversation with people that fit the brief. They understand what they need. Their family could have 2 children, whatever the circumstances that suits that buying audience. But the agent needs to go and sell it. They need to go and sell it. The strategy won't do it alone now. There was times in the last year, 2 years, where you change the strategy. If you haven't sold it, you change the strategy or price reduction. And then all of a sudden, hey presto, some buyers come out of the woodwork. That's not necessarily going to completely drive the change in helping people to move home today. It's differentiating. It's needs-based, it's having great conversations, it's sitting with customers and helping them to see that they need to thoroughly and aggressively challenge their market, because there are more properties now staying on the market, which means there's more competition for a seller.
Only a normal amount of time. Well, we must get back to the facts. We must get back, because everyone's talking like it's doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom. No. We're starting to hear about 4% fixed rates over 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we just need to make sure that we don't become a self-fulfilling prophecy and think that it's worse. So prepare for the worst and hope for the best is the motto.
Yeah.
But we've got to have the right communication with the customer about
those skills again, isn't it?
So if there's, to go back to your original question, how would I help the negotiator go and sell the property on a viewing? I would go and train the valuer to stop pinning the bloody tail on the donkey, stop saying your house is worth £300,000 and I'll definitely get it for you, and start talking about the market will dictate the price. Whatever offer we get is the offer that is right, and we'll try and make it work for you. And then the negotiator can go out and say, what's it worth to you? It's only worth 280. Okay, well, we'll talk to the owner. It's not an offer. We'll go and talk to them and see if we can get that to work for you.
But we actually glossed over, because Russell said this earlier, in terms of actually we need to educate people that the differentiator is the issue, not the value.
Correct.
And, as someone who has been in exactly that situation 10 years ago, who wanted to sell her property at a certain price and didn't, it didn't matter, because the house I bought at the same time was the differentiator I would have had at a higher value. So we need to and we had a training session with a lot of estate agents in our group recently that just hadn't occurred to them. And there are some really basic concepts that we have to educate the public, our customers, as well as our staff.
Well, it does also come down to honesty. So to the point about valuing and going around to see vendors and, taking comps and showing them what the market is actually doing. I mean, look, no wonder estate agents are sitting there in the bottom three of all professions in terms of perception, because the perception is, and we'll all say it's not true, but it's what the public definitely think, right? It's definitely true what they think, is that we're not seen as an industry that's honest. So maybe if we start being honest about price and the market and sentiment and so on, both ways, as in, not glorifying the negative sentimentality from the media, but also just being honest about, Mr. Smith, I know you're trying to get £400,000 for your 3-bed semi in Aylesbury, but that's £50,000 more than any 3-bed semi in Aylesbury has ever sold.
Oh, mine's much nicer.
So let's talk about how much nicer it is, and if it justifies £50,000. So.
I tell you what,
Can I just-
Sarah, go on, sorry.
Sorry, I really want to ask you a question, Iain, if I may, directly. It's
No.
dangerous water here.
Come on.
What you
Well, this is going to be good. Go, Sarah.
You said something that made me go like that, because you said the market dictates the price.
Yeah.
And if we go there wholly, we're commoditized again. If I as a negotiator, am not capable of negotiating in the best interest of my client, I don't want to do pin the tail on the donkey, and I don't want to be like, I also don't agree with the phrase overvaluing, but I'll come on to that. And I'm nervous about that. If the market dictates price.
Well, you're
I might
saying
as
all
well-
agents, the perception is all agents will get you the same price.
Exactly.
It-
So
it-
you might as well not use an agent.
Yeah.
Ah,
That's not true.
and
There you
then
go.
we get
Exactly
FSBO questions about, well, we don't trust those bloody estate agents.
Yeah.
We don't trust the estate agents, and the market dictates the price, and all we want is access to Rightmove. So
So what is my job, Mrs.? What's my job for you? My job is to sell the property at the highest price that I can achieve, which is dictated to by the market. So the market conditions will dictate the price. So
I'm not sure that's true.
Right.
I mean, our job is to get, I used to use the word ambitiously realistic, because I think you need to be aiming high, and I think overvaluing is a contentious point. But at the point of an estate agent is to find that buyer at the pointy bit of the pyramid who is going to pay more than the market.
It's the extra 1 or 2%.
Perfect for them.
The market dictates is the extra 1 or 2%.
Exactly. So you're not talking 10 or
And this
15%,
is
but you're
what-
talking more than the market. If someone sells for
we're all
300, I'm gonna get
violently
310 for it.
agreeing, because it's all wrapped into a bespoke marketing strategy so my job is to get the best price that I can possibly for you, but ultimately the market will dictate the price. So you've got to go and find the strategy that goes to the active buyer, people that are looking on the portals, the strategy that is the passive buyer, which is part of our nurture journey, put them all into a pot, show them around, and extract offers from them to save the best price.
all our buyers can't be on the portals, because then we're back to why do they need us?
I just want
That's
to
the
stick
whole
up
point.
for you.
They're
I
not
just want to stick
showing
up
us
for you.
anything.
Let me
That's
just
the
stick
point
up
I'm
for you
making.
on this, though, right?
That's the
Because
point I'm
I actually agree with him, but I would put it slightly differently, in the sense that the market dictates the price. Why do properties not sell? Because they're too much money. But why do properties not get through to exchange of contracts? Because you've got the wrong buyer at the beginning, right? So my job as the agent is to find you the most realistic price we can possibly get in this market. It's got a whole load of different variables in there. The surveyor's going to have to come and value it up, all of these different things, and then I've got to get the person to transfer the money into your bank account, and that's what you're going to pay me for, because I've got X amount of experience of doing that. But the market is going to decide, yes, mister, when you say you want 450,000 for your house, I'm afraid you've banged your head. And we should be confident enough to be able to say to someone in a very polite way, yes, but my job is to make money from selling houses, so I'm not interested in trying to sell your house for a price I don't think I can sell it at. So do you want to sell it for this price? And I think we can both achieve what we want. Or do you want to carry on with somebody else?
And I think the content that you've just explained, agents don't explain enough about what's actually how many times do you hear people start an estate agency and they realise how difficult it actually is? Because it looks great on the outside. Well, as long as you're on Rightmove, you're going to sell it. Open a door, ask for an offer, and off you go. That's not selling a property. But just to come back, one of the things I've taught people for years is you agree a price strategy. You don't value a house. No one around this table will say, so have you ever sold a property for more than you expected? The answer is always yes. Have you ever sold a property for a lot less than you've expected? Well, the answer is yes. The key for us is finding the best buyer attainable and absolutely working in the vendor's best interest, because that's what an estate agent
To get it to exchange.
to get it to the line.
Estate
Yeah.
agents celebrate
They celebrate the sale.
They celebrate
Or a
instructions more than anything.
And let's be honest.
But that's also, Mark, that's how some corporates, maybe not now, were paying their listers.
Yeah.
Paying them on a listing.
But it was market driven. It was market driven, wasn't it? So that what they've done is they've gone, well, we need lists. Well, last year, if you sat around this table last year, would have been saying, how do we get houses on the market?
Look, I know independents that pay the listers like that.
I don't
Well,
know.
it's like,
Rather than
Whose point? My point.
Can I just pick this up, because this is a bit of a
I don't
conversation.
understand the challenge of the market not dictating the price, because if I put a house onto the market and I have nobody view it for 2 months, the price is wrong. If I put a house onto the market and I get 20 viewings and I get 5 offers, I go to best and final and it work it up. The market is dictating the price. The market, alongside my skill set and alongside the marketing strategy, I don't see how you can challenge that.
Are you,
So please tell-
you maybe just talking about using the word market differently in a different context?
I think
you are.
I think
Because
potentially.
I don't
market,
think you
marketing.
actually disagree. Yeah, and I think, you know, the market at the moment is conditions, and, you know, actually what you're talking about is how many buyers there are that are interested in your
course.
property. That's how you're using
and
market.
neither of you are talking about an exact price.
I think we're
either.
No, and
finally
but that brings us back to verbal and non-verbal communication. We talked about how are we going to differentiate and truly articulate clearly how we differentiate. I know what you mean, right?
So do I.
You know, if
But I think it's I would never say that. I wouldn't say the market will, because it buzz means I won't.
yeah, it means I make no material difference
That's what I would.
whatsoever.
That's how I would read that. If you said to me that to me in evaluation, I'd say, well, why do I need you then if the market dictates the price?
But I accept
I
your
might
point.
think that.
I accept your
But I know
point.
that's not what you meant.
About the fact that you're talking about, and again, you know, I love a challenge. That's why I'm sat here, isn't it? Matt, you kept saying about pricing strategy. I would widen that again to this is just marketing strategy.
Yeah, cool.
If we focus back the whole on price, they become fixated on price.
That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, but this is about
But it's-
everything that we do to bring the buyer. But I want to get stuck into what you were talking about, because if you know, let's find the buyer, great, and we know there's lots of ways to do that. I think there's lots of buyers in tenant databases at the moment as well. By the way, I think if you go looking hard enough, that's a whole other story. But it's that after the sale agreed that we'll go, and then actually, what was the fall through rate in October? 42%.
Bloody hell, was it really?
Yes, it was.
Already celebrated that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
And this comes back to inefficiency then, and then we've got a whole other problem.
Yeah. Well, it's John McGrath, who's a brilliant estate agent in Australia, said an instruction is a liability until it sells when it becomes an asset.
Absolutely.
And so you're spending money, you shoe leather, petrol,
can I-
a whole lot, and then you get no fee.
I think you're spot on to talk about price in terms of it's a marketing approach that we need to talk about. What I talk to our customers about is, first of all, what time frames are you looking for? And that dictates the strategy in some ways. You know, I talk strategy rather than price. I've probably misrepresented what I was saying, because I was quite comfortably sit with Peter as a vendor and say, I don't know how much you're going to get for it. My job, though, is when I find the right buyer, is to maximise the value of your asset, but also to make sure that buyer will complete. Because let's be honest, there's so many hurdles at the moment ahead. There are so many hurdles ahead that we don't know about when you go to market.
Yeah.
So, but I think let's move on from it. Or do you want to add another? You sure?
I'm done. I promise. I've got to behave for a minute.
No, it's
Just
good.
just
This
for
is
like
all
a minute. Don't get excited. Just like a minute. I'm
Okay.
just going to relax.
So this is for frontliners. We've moved. I think we've got quite a lot of in-depth content there.